I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call and quit.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the KP3 Community Podcast. I am excited to dive into this topic today. Today we are talking about how schools such as Michigan, Wake Forest, Iowa, HCC here in Tampa, and many more have used our workload platform, KP Kinnect, to track their throwing. So really excited about this topic. I think it's one that I get asked a lot. How do I implement, or how do I structure my throwing programs? How do I use what you're doing at KP to influence those things? And so tonight I'm going to go over that and review just what it is exactly that we're doing on our app and how you can use it wherever you are, whatever level you're at. We've got guys at the big league level. We've got guys in Japan. We've got guys at the little league level, all using the app. We've had such a great community of people out there that have adopted the app, its strategies. And so tonight, I'll show you guys exactly how you can use it wherever you are as well. One of the great things about the app, and if you want to follow along during this podcast, you're welcome to. It is on the iOS App Store, so this is for Apple. You need an iPhone to utilize the app itself. But if you want to download and follow along, I'm going to go through step by step today in the tracking tool itself and show you how you can use it. The app is completely free. So it is free for our bands protocol. So if you buy our KP bands, which we've talked about on this podcast in the past, if you utilize our bands protocol, or if you utilize our throwing, both of those are accessible just by download. So you just got to go on, register, get the app on your phone, and then you can follow along direct with this tonight as we go through it. So let's dive in. I think it's important first and foremost to say that there is a fundamental problem. We've talked about this repeatedly on this podcast, but there's a fundamental problem within baseball today, especially at the amateur level. When we start talking about injuries, we see that 57% of all Tommy John surgeries are between the ages of 16 and 19 years old. And there's one very easy solution. It's to build up and be prepared for the load that we face in season. Too often we overcomplicate this. We start talking about biomechanics. We start talking about arm strength and programming arm strength, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The reality is that we need to really focus on that progression, that building up of throwing workload. And some of you guys watching here, you might see my dog in the background. Apologize. She's diving in on the conversation today as well. So, but let's talk about and understand first and foremost, when we say we need to build up to be prepared for load, what does that mean? The reality is that we're talking about from a positional standpoint, when we talk about relievers versus starters, we're talking about two very different throwing fitnesses that we need to build up for. And again, going back, recapping some of our other episodes, what we mean by that is that starters are going to be required. The demand of the load is going to be much greater in single outings. So when you look at the week schedule, they're going to typically go about once a week. And the total pitches they're going to throw, as we know, roughly 60 to 100 pitches. And then we have relievers who might go multiple times a week, especially at the upper levels where you're playing games nightly. You might be calling upon a reliever 4 times a week, 3 times a week. So these relievers need to also have a pretty decent chronic workload built up, or throwing fitness built up. And we need to be prepared for that going into spring training so that when we get to the season in April, we can mitigate that injury spike that we see. So how do we do this? And how do I know what my throwing fitness is? How do I know how built up I am? This is the exact question that our app is able to answer for our athletes. And I think this is, again, if nothing else, this is just a resource, a tool that helps you understand where you are leading into season and project. I'm going to give some numbers here, but project how much you need to be built up to handle certain loads. So, for example, and I'm going to go ahead and just say this up front. I'll probably say it again here toward the end of this podcast, but for example, if you are a high school starter, you're starting once a week and you're throwing roughly 60 to 100 pitches, we need you to be somewhere between an 8 and a 12 chronic workload or throwing fitness, and you can track that via the KP Kinnect app through our throwing tab. So as long as you're entering in all the throws that you're doing, you can get a better idea, a better understanding of how built up you are, and if you're in the ballpark of being built up enough to handle that seasonal load. If you're a reliever, for example, you may need to be a little bit less than that. I would say it's more like 6 to 9 throwing fitness, and you see that's overlapping with the starter throwing fitness. It just depends on the demand. But it is always better to be overbuilt than underbuilt. So what I mean by that is that if you are somebody who is throwing and you're trying to get to a number, I would shoot for a higher number than what you're going to be required in season. And one of the cool things about the app as well is that if you wanted to project a week's worth of throwing, you can go in on any single day. You can add in the throws that you'd expect to do during season, basically set your routine. You can find out what the workloads look like in real time and basically figure out, okay, this week is going to be approximately this much work per day. I need to build up to that. And you can start to kind of backtrack and build scheduling from there. The app also dynamically generates you a schedule each and every day. So again, we'll show that in just a second. But point being, trying to mitigate injury risk. We know it's a problem in the industry. We need solutions that deliver athletes into season more built up and ready to go objectively. Our app, KP Kinnect, really the only app that I know of at the moment that allows you to go in and create structure and build out basically for free your seasonal work, also projecting you a throwing program, what to do on a daily basis. So with that being said, let's talk about the app a little bit. If you haven't already, again, you can pause this. I'd encourage you to download the app and follow along. If you go on to the app itself, you've registered, you've gotten in, you're going to navigate to the train button on the middle of your home screen on the bottom. There's a big green button, and you'll see throw. So you're going to hit that throwing module. And in that throwing module, it's really broken down into 3 different sections. So our throwing module is broken into assess, schedule, and throw. Now, when I built this app a few years ago, there were some innovative things that I did to make this app more usable. Other stuff that exists in the industry, whether it be websites or apps, etc. The reality is that you'd have to wait on most of those programs 28 days to make the app usable. This was one of the biggest issues that I ran into. This is starting off right in the assess category. This is one of the biggest issues I ran into was I didn't have time. I didn't have 28 days to wait for my athletes. I needed to build a program today that was going to give them recommendations and help them get off on the right track. A lot can happen in 1 month. A lot of athletes can make mistakes in 1 month in their throwing progressions. And it's really important, in my opinion, that we get a good starting point. It's just like strength and conditioning or anything else. You do an assessment day, you walk through where an athlete's at. It's not perfect. There's always caveats, but you're trying to make an educated guess as to where to start this athlete. Typically, a conservative guess is where to start this athlete to build them up to handle what's ahead into the future and give them some sort of quality of progression rate over that month that you start with. Other apps, specifically, you have to wait those 28 days. You can backtrack your workloads into that potentially. I don't know how those apps work too much anymore, but even with like running or cycling apps, typically they want to track you for a period of time, see where you're at. They'll backtrack or back calculate what you've done, and then they'll start giving you recommendations. But I took this app, and what I said was I wanted to make it usable and user friendly right out of the box. When you download this app, I want the athlete, I want the parent, I want the coach to immediately know the expectations. This is what we're going to try to increase and build over the next 28 days. And that's what the app does for you. So you go assess, schedule, throw. Pretty straightforward. The assess component here is where you look back at what you've done. So you do basically a questionnaire or a 7-day, I'll explain this in a second, a 7-day cycle where you look at where you're at from a throwing fitness standpoint. The assess is to establish the throwing fitness for the athlete. Schedule is you go in, you create a schedule for yourself and how much you want to throw, what days, and what intensities you want in those days. And then you have throw, and you can build out that throwing program, and you just execute it. So the schedule gets you to a throwing program. The throw is just you executing that throwing program on a day-in, day-out basis. So let's move into explaining first and foremost our assess. So this would be the screen that you see here. I'm going to use our little mouse here, a little cursor, to give you guys a little visual on the two options that you have. So if you're coming into this screen, again, this is helping you understand quickly where you're at. So some athletes, they just have no recollection of the last 28 days. They have no clue what they've done the last 28 days. So we start them off on the 7-day. And all the difference between the 7-day and the 28-day. 28 days asking you what you've done in the past 28 days. So you're filling in your throwing for those 28 days. The 7-day, on the other hand, is tracking you for 7 straight days. It's looking at what you do, how your throwing program looks as it exists today for 7 days. So imagine you're in season and you've been throwing, or maybe you're coming off of summer this time of year right now, and you've been throwing and you've just been on the same schedule nonstop over and over and over and over, week over week over week over week. And you kind of want to know, okay, I want to continue to progress for fall and I want to start to get ready for more innings. Well, how do I do that? So what I would do is I would go in and I would track my throwing for 7 days. I just enter into the app how much I've done for 7 days. It will track me for 7 days. And it's going to back calculate for me a projection of my throwing fitness based off of the 7 days of throwing that I've done. So from that, again, you go through the next 2 steps, the schedule and throw. You'd be able to, from the schedule, derive a plan to increase your throwing, and then you just execute it in your throwing. On the other hand, we have the 28 days. So maybe you're diligent in tracking your throwing, or maybe you're somebody who has an idea of what you've done the last 28 days. This is one that we use the most at KP. I actually have our athletes sit down, make them think over the last 28 days. And what we're really looking for here is big gaps in their time. So have they taken 2 weeks off? Have they taken a week off in the last 28 days? And so athletes will come in, they'll enter what they've done the last 28 days. And they'll give me a projection of how much work they've done. And this really makes the athlete, for many times the first time, sit down and really consider, what is my throwing routine? And what you realize quickly is that a lot of athletes don't have a throwing routine. They just throw. They just go out there and do their thing. And so the first time they're hit with the contemplation of how much do I do from a warm-up perspective? How many plyos do I throw on a daily basis? How many short box pitches did I throw on that day? How many bullpens did I throw this past week? Or, man, I haven't thrown at all in the last 5 days. And then I just jump into these tournaments. You see it on the athlete when you ask them to fill out this 28-day form. You see it on the athlete for the first time. They're really contemplating how much they've done. So this is highly valuable, not just from a player perspective, but also from a facility perspective, from a coaching perspective. If I have an athlete that shows up for the first time at our facility, one of the big things that is a tough conversation for us, but we have athletes sign up for our assessment, pay their money, come in, and we don't let every athlete do the throwing analysis, meaning the biomechanics, the ball flight on TrackMan, all of that. We don't necessarily do that with every athlete. And the reason being is a lot of athletes aren't built up enough to be prepared for a bullpen to handle that. So therefore, I'm safe about it and make sure that we don't put our athletes in a bad spot. So when we think about this, 28 days, filling out the last 28 days, it gives us a lot of information. It's a good assessment point for us. When we fill in that 28 days, we hit save, that app is going to calculate for us the throwing fitness for the athlete, and it's going to start to align things to what they want from a throwing perspective, from a schedule. So next, we're looking at the schedule here, and you'll notice here Monday to Sunday, we have low, high, off, medium, low, high, off. So if you're somebody, again, following along with this tonight and entering in for maybe the first time jumping into our app and trying to learn more about how to do this for free on our app, my recommendation is to you is even if you're not throwing for the last 28 days, let's use a 28-day assessment button, hit that 28-day. And what I want you to do is I want you just to fill in dummy data. So just put in, maybe you did 10 throws at 20%, 10 throws at 30%, 10 throws at 40%, 10 throws at 50%, hit save. Do that for 28 days. That should give you some sort of workload. My guess is probably in like the 5 to 6 range. Enter all of that in. And then you're going to be prompted to hit OK and move to this screen. When we move to this screen, you're going to enter in, this is a good throwing program to enter in just to kind of get a feel for things here. Again, Monday, type in low, Tuesday high, Wednesday off, Thursday is medium, Friday is low, Saturday is high, Sunday is off. I like this throwing program. We use this throwing program a lot from a workload perspective because it has a good recovery period. You're kind of spacing the best you can those 2 high intensity days in the week. This is reflective as well. 5 days of training is reflective of maybe what this in-season program will look like for college, high school kids. This is a good program. So fill that out, type that in. There are hundreds of throwing programs and more being added all the time. If you guys have a throwing program that does not show up on your app and you guys want that throwing program, meaning that, like, let's say you type in low, low, high, off or something like that, and it doesn't show up. Please email us, support@KinnectProBaseball.com. Not all throwing programs do we see as or deem as potentially viable to build, but we're always happy to work with you guys individually and build those programs out. There are thousands of variations of this sequence that we can build out at any time. We've built hundreds of throwing programs. So that's, again, depending on what you want, your variations, we can talk about that and also add that into our app. It's pretty cool, awesome opportunity, especially in the early stages here of this app. You know, we're only 2-3 years in and a couple thousand users. So there's still things that we're going to find that we want to continue to improve. So if that is you, you are finding that, please submit that support@KinnectProBaseball.com. You can even screenshot the app for the program that you're trying to design, and we can go there. This program right here, low, high, off, medium, low, high, off, I know that for certain, is a great program that we've used with a lot of colleges, a lot of high schools, etc. And it's just a great base program to begin with. So from there, one of the things to recognize, what is a low day? What is a high day? What is a medium day? What is an off day? This is the question that I get a lot about this program layout. So a low day is typically less than 8. A low day is lower intensity and typically less than an 8 workload. I like on low days I always say keep it below 70%. Sometimes these are all plyo days. Sometimes these are, days where an athlete will maybe create a little extension, get out to like 150. Sometimes it's just a 60-foot catch play day. Just depends on the athlete. We give the athlete some autonomy to choose where they're at. Again, we just try to keep the intensity on those days at some sort of regulation. So for us at the facility, when we have our low day on Monday or our low day on Friday, our athletes notoriously know that these are about 8 workload days. We typically have them run up to about a 60% intensity. And sometimes I'll just take that athlete. These low days typically come after a bullpen or just before a bullpen. So I'll typically take these athletes off to the side. We might work on something, whether that be like just spinning breaking balls lightly and valuing that intensity based upon the radar gun. We start to kind of gauge that intensity level for those athletes and then allow them to execute on that. So again, Monday being a low day, that could be a very planned 60 throws, let's say, for our athlete. We're very specifically working on a skill that we saw that was not executed well in our bullpen days. Our high days, I let our guys go get it. High days are typically 15 plus workloads where guys will get into the bullpen or they'll do pull downs in a velocity day. Or maybe they're in a game. We look at these high intensity days. These are the days we're trying to progress on our throwing program. So we're trying to increase the number of high intensity throws to, obviously progress our athletes into more of the demand that we face. So these high days for me are really important. Typically on this program, your Tuesday is going to be your bullpen day. Your Saturday is going to be your game day, and our program will progress on that. You can flip that around. Again, just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Then lastly, we have our off day and our medium day. Off day is pretty obvious. We just take the day off from throwing, so I won't cover that too much. But medium day, when we talk about a medium day, what is a medium day? Medium days are typically between about 8 and 15 workloads. And I love medium days. I think we blend a lot of medium days. So it's middle of our week there. A lot of people will change this to a high intensity day, and we will too on some of our velocity phases, depending on what velocity phase we're choosing. But I do love medium days. These are typically days that we get up around 70, 80% max. And we allow our athletes to start to work through, whether it be plyo, velos, we're holding that 70, 80% max, or it's off the mound and we're working more skill specific. We provide a lot more volume for our guys closer to our max intensity without pushing the max intensity. And so this could be a great short box day. This could be a great flat ground day. This is a great day to kick the TrackMan on and have our guys, rip changeups, breaking balls, any off-speed pitches to better understand things. This can also be a command day. So I love our guys when they get closer to that max intensity where they're playing different types of gamification models with us, working to our top shelf target or our BP zone, and they're playing games against each other for points. I love Thursdays because I can gamify the crap out of them, and I can also take the time to get the volume I need to really work on something more specific. So that is a medium day. Again, 8 to 15 range, somewhere in that. I typically get our guys between 10 and 12 is about what I see on our medium days for our guy as a target, with a max of about 80% intensity. So that takes us to the next question is, once we've done this, we hit choose my program. So the next question I typically get is, how do you judge intensity? How do I use this to judge intensity? And so one thing I want to note here is that from that last step to this step, I want to talk about how that schedule's built. So going back, we've assessed you and now looked at your throwing fitness buildup. And so we've established the throwing fitness level that you have. So let's say you've been throwing a lot and you're built up to an 8, right? That's very different from somebody who hasn't been throwing at all and is just starting back on day 1. Each and every week, depending on how much throwing you do, or every day, depending on how much throwing you do, this app is actually changing. It's waiving how much it's recommending to you based upon that schedule, based upon that fitness. So if your fitness is below the requirement for where you're at in that program, the app will actually kick you back and have you do something smaller today to get you back on track again. So this is one of the great things about this app. It's dynamic. I won't get too deep into that because it does get a little complicated. Today's purpose is to just help you guys understand how to use this. But again, you have assess, where we look at the throwing fitness for the athlete. And then we get into the next part, schedule, where once you've established what schedule you want with the athlete on the week routine, you then get a program that's built out for you with recommendations daily for you on that app. Again, they're recommendations. So 2 things you'll notice on the app. Number 1 is going to be there's a big circle in the middle of the throwing app, which reflects your recommended workload for that day. At the bottom of the app, you'll see these cards that have throwing day recommendations. Now, these throwing day recommendations, quite honestly, they were a placeholder. There's supposed to be a graph there that we were working on in the past. We'll still be bringing that out into the future, but they were just placeholders. So they're just recommendations as the throwing days. You can create any throwing day option you want to, and you can actually plan that ahead of time using the screen that you guys see here. So when you hit the plus button, so you're going to hit the plus button in the middle of the throwing screen, that plus button will take you to this screen, which will have your daily workload, and then it'll give you percentages. So this is your intensities, and you'll be able to add all throws in. So you're just going to click here. One of these zeros, you can just click it, and then you're going to add in the number of throws you do at each intensity. So I always like to say, let's use a 90-mile-an-hour thrower, for example. This is how we do it at KP. Again, you can be creative around this. The throwing values are pretty stable depending on how you choose to do it. But we use radar guns at the facility. So we have basically 2 radar gun lanes. And we have those radar guns up on big, giant TVs. And so our athletes have projected velocity zones. So on one side of the facility, you have a big 60-something inch TV that's got all of the velocity zones by peak velocity rank. So if your peak velocity is 90 miles an hour, this is pull down velocity for us, 95 miles per hour, 85 miles per hour, 80 miles an hour, we have that broken out by category. So what I'll say to somebody who throws peak velocity of 90 is 20%, like you see here, would be 45 to 50 miles an hour. That's where I want to keep them. And then you have 30% is 50, 55 miles per hour. Then you have 55, 60 miles per hour, 60, 65 miles per hour, 65, 70 miles per hour, 70, 75 miles per hour, and you work that all the way up to your peak 100%, your 90 miles per hour. So the first zone, I made 10 miles per hour wide. The reason why I did that is because most athletes struggle to throw that light intensity. So 45 to 55 miles per hour for me was something that gives them a little bit of flexibility at that lowest intensity. From there, we start to move up 5 miles per hour each percentage. So you move 5 miles per hour per each percentage as we get up to 100% for these athletes. So I always say this at our facility, our guys will throw inside that intensity range. They'll stick to that intensity range. They'll throw that in. And this is actually calculating your daily workload. So every time you hit the save button down here, this is calculating your daily workload based upon your body type. So when you filled out your profile and you registered for the app, you put in your height and weight. This daily workload is actually running off of that height and weight. So you come in, you add your throws. I have a statement. Guys get tired of hearing me say it. I yell it all the time in the facility. Every 10 added in. Guys, make sure every 10 add it in. Guys, when you complete your 10 throws, add it in. Every 10 added in. Every 10 added in. I say it all the time. And so what I mean by that is we don't want to go throughout the entire day, try to remember how much we did over like 100 throws. We want to try to get our day segmented as pitchers. This is easy to do. You can get your day segmented, and you can then add in your throws after each segment. So maybe my pivot picks, I do 20 throws. Okay, fine. So the pivot picks are going to be in that 20% range because the velocity is in that range. We're going to do our pivot picks in that velocity range, and we're going to add in our 20 throws for that period. Now, at our facility, we break everything out into 10s. So I say every 10 added in. So our guys will do 10 pivot picks, add it in. They'll go back to their phone, they'll add it in. And then they do another 10 pivot picks maybe, and then they add it in. And they'll play catch. 10 throws at 30% added in, 10 throws at 40% added in, 10 throws at 50% added in. You get the idea. And we build guys up. Then I give them their skill-specific work, and I have intensity next to the skill-specific work. So we're throwing a short box. Again, huge problem that I see all throughout baseball is guys throw short boxes. They either throw them way too easy or they throw them way too hard. There's nothing in the middle. So all of our short boxes are governed by this same intensity range. We do the same thing. So these guys come in and I might say, hey, 70% today. Well, what is 70%? Well, we've defined it. Now I need to hold you accountable to it. And so guys are going to throw their short box in that 70% range. And so we hold that. We add that volume in and we get an idea of what the daily workload looks like or when these athletes have completed their throwing day. So if the goal, again, is to reach a 12 workload for their medium day, then they now have, by adding all of this in, they have now governed that because when they hit a 12, they're done. And remember, this is individualized. This score is individualized based upon your body type. So our small, skinny guys that are not as, maybe they're taller and they're real skinny, remember, this workload's going to get hit a lot faster than somebody who's maybe 230 and a little bit shorter at 6 foot. They're going to take a much longer time to actually get to this number. So the volume will be managed by the app in the background, and you have individual load for each athlete at that point. So you hit save at the end of the day, it stores it, and it will then auto correct your throwing program moving forward day in and day out. I'm going to now talk about the actual topic that you saw in the title. We've had Michigan, Wake Forest, Iowa. I've done this program type with. HCC uses our platform. Many others have been using our platform this year. Specifically, we have, I think, another 5 schools jumping on board, which is pretty cool. Look, at the end of the day, I am a big believer in wearables. I'm a big believer in throwing sensors. However, they need to be usable. They need to be able to, you need to understand what you're doing with those sensors. If you're just tracking the data with that sensor, that's great, but if it's not influencing your decisions, then you're kind of just wasting your time. One of the great things about this app, like I said, is the fact that it is something, in my opinion, it is something that is easy to follow. because it is giving you those daily recommendations and giving you targets to hit. So you come into this, like I said, you fill this thing out every single day. You get in the routine of filling this thing out every single day. When you go into the app itself, there is actually a graph that you can click over to, and you can see where your throwing fitness is on a daily basis. That's amazing. It's super helpful. You can see what's being governed. You can see the projection of your throwing workloads over the next 28 days. That's all inside this app for free for you. Throwing sensors are great. Again, they have a cost barrier, and a lot of people just simply can't afford that cost. A lot of people are unsure of if they want to afford that cost, meaning they're not sure if they need throwing workload or not. This app, the design of it, it was originally designed with a sensor in mind, and we will be potentially adding one back here in the near future. But I wanted to create a low barrier, a free option that people can go in and use, and that's what this is. So you can use your velocity-based RPE in here to actually govern your daily training. People ask me about accuracy. They ask me about the implementation strategies around this. Yes, it takes a little bit more thinking through your training day in terms of how you want to use this and how you hold yourself accountable to it. One example of this, instead of velocity based on it, you could go distance based on it, telling guys to throw with an arc on the ball. Typically those ranges, so let's say 20%, let's say max distance is 300 feet and 20% is 60 feet. You could work back 20% at 60 feet, 30% at 90 feet, 40% at 120. You can work all the way out to 300 feet, and you can utilize that as a governance again for your athletes. Now, is this the way that I would prefer to do it? No, but when you have nothing but pitch counts in place, when you have nothing but innings limits in place, you have to find something better. And I think this is the great start to start tracking all throws and give yourself a much better understanding of progression. Because at the very least, if you're consistent enough at using this, you will find consistency in your program and recommendations as how to be more consistent in your training process. That is what this app was designed for. And so when you start talking about these schools that we've worked with, what are they really using it for? What's the success been of these schools? Well, I can talk about Michigan, who did an amazing job managing on this model. So our KP workload model, they managed their pitchers on this model, won the Big Ten that year, which was awesome. And we had a ton of success throughout the season. We really had no injuries that year. Amazing results with utilizing both our KP bands and our throwing workload model that we were using with them at the time. That really created the foundation for this program design and solidified it for me. We've been working with A3 Academy at KP, handling 277 days a year of their throwing, tracking over 435,000 throws with these athletes, ranging between 29 and 40 pitchers per year on this program. Again, high success rate compared to the population in terms of overall injuries on this app. So is it the app? Is it the throwing progression? I would tell you that it probably has much less to do with the fact that our environment, our schedule, our game schedule, our lifting program, or any of those things are in place. It has more to do, in my opinion, with just how consistent these guys are being asked to throw and how this is being managed. We're using the educational process with this app platform to track and make recommendations to these athletes on a daily basis. And with that comes our athletes being more built up for games, us being able to leverage our athletes better in games. And Matt Bomeisel, who runs A3, he said it to me last year. We're at A3 is finishing up their season in their championship series, this end of the year tournament, and we're looking at other teams where they're struggling to put pitchers on the mound. And Matt said to me, man, it's really great being able to look around and see that all of our arms are healthy. All of our frontline guys are at their best. And that's what workload management done right is set up to do. Now, in a team setting, again, understanding that you can't just throw your guys out there after 2 weeks of throwing. That's what this app is going to do also. It's going to make sure that you're held accountable to doing the right things. But it is a free platform is a great chance for you to go in and interact. If you're a parent, player, and you're looking for answers as to how much you should be throwing, I laugh because you have the age-old question from a coach. Player goes out to a tournament. He says, the coach asks him, how much are you built up for? Or how much can you throw today? Or how many innings are you good for? And the player's like, I don't know. I just want to pitch. And so the coach goes out there, puts him out there. He's doing pretty well through 40 pitches or whatever. And maybe that was his pitch count. So the kid told him, hey, I'm good for 40. And the coach goes, hey, you're doing great. Let's keep going, sending you out there. Well, the kid's not going to say no to that. The kid's going to end up with 80 pitches under his belt. He wasn't built up to handle that. And you're abusing that arm. You're just absolutely abusing that arm. As a parent, player, you have something objective here that you can use to start to gauge how much am I good for. Adding in those pitches, let's say if I said 80 pitches at 100% and I wanted to find out, am I good for this? Am I not good for this? I can find out quickly. Is that going way over my recommended workload or is it not? And that's what, again, building up on this thing on a routine basis, that is what we're using this app for. So I highly recommend it. Last thing I'll say on this, if you're a coach, an organization, a facility, a collegiate team, etc., and you're wanting to use this platform, again, the player app is free. It costs nothing. But if you're an organization or a coach and you're looking to get in and actually utilize the coach's dashboard where you can see all of your player apps. So you can sign up all of your players on this app. And then you have the coach's dashboard where you can actually go in and manage all of those players. If you want to get that coach's dashboard, it's pretty simple. It's just $1,000 for the module per year. And then we have our bands module as well, which you can tack on for another $1,000. We do band set sales. If you buy more than 5 or more sets, we actually bring that price for our bands down to $150 per set. So great deal to be had. We do annual subscriptions for programs. So highly recommend any of you out there that are looking to jump in on this, try it out. I am also here to support you and help you build up on this and get your feet wet in it. I know that it's sometimes difficult to grasp a new platform, a new concept, and put it out there on the field. We've been doing this with a lot of teams for a long time, and we've had a lot of success with it, and it's just been really awesome. So I'm hoping that more will dive into it. I will put a lead out there that we have something very special coming out in the next few weeks here. Next few weeks here. You guys will see us start promoting an announcement. We're going to make this very accessible to the masses. We were really excited about some of the opportunity that we have to drive new thought process and provide coaches with resources to implement something like this as a strategy. So definitely check that out, and we're really excited about what's to come here on that front. So let's move in tonight, transitioning over to the AMA. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and shout out our sponsor for this episode, BP Zones. For years, we were buying targets monthly at KP due to the volume of pitches that we throw at them. On top of that, I just never liked the visual or the lack of options that exist in traditional targets. I'm thankful that we found BP Zones to not only save us money with elastic products, but also provide our staff the ability to uniquely challenge our athletes. BP Zones are a staple at KP and can be a game changer for you as well. For more on BP Zones, or if you'd like to purchase one, you can by clicking the link for BP Zones via the caption below. Closing out our discussion around the throwing platform that so many teams have been using and how they're using it. Again, hopefully you followed along tonight. You dove through that, you liked it, and were able to set yourself up there on the Kinnect app. If you have any issues, again, hit us up, support@kinnectprobaseball.com. Happy to be a resource for you in getting that up and running. Tonight we're going to go through our AMA, and the question I got this week I thought was pretty funny. It's, do you teach pitching? And so I think so often we talk about things like workload management. I talk about things like strength. I talk about biomechanics. And I talk pretty high level, and I'm kind of shameless about not watering it down. I absolutely hate the idea of taking good information and trying to make it just fit somebody who's not interested in that information. I realize there's a group of people out there that follow what we do, and it's because they want to hear that information at a high level. And so I often more 99.9% of the times, I do not try to water things down. I just try to say it. And those that are hungry will find it and learn from it. Ask great questions. That's been my approach. The desire to take pitching and make it fit this watered down mold, I just don't agree with. And so that leaves us in this place where I think the world has set an expectation as to what training for pitching looks like. And so this was actually a mom that asked this question, and she meant it in the nicest way possible. So it was not taken wrong. I understand what she was asking, and it's not the first time we've been asked this. Do you teach pitching? At the end of the day, baseball has changed so much since 2015. Since 2015, we have had the introduction and the acceleration of technology in sport. My job and what KP is, our goal is to build great pitchers. We talk about the things that we talk about so much, workload and biomechanics and arm strength, because I really believe that these are the foundational principles in today's world with objective data. I believe these are foundational principles to athletes actually finding real success in the sport. We have such a skyrocketing injury rate and such a concern for that injury rate that I think it is important that somebody is out there giving the right message. Somebody is producing the right news. Now, whether you choose to water that news down or not, that's your prerogative. But I felt like it needs to be said since the day I started KP. I felt like it needed to be said. If we're going to build great pitchers, it has to start by understanding what it means to build healthy pitchers in our industry today. That starts first. Second is performance. And these two things conflict with each other. The harder I push for performance, the more I sacrifice my potential health. We are pushing our bodies to do something that they're not naturally meant to do. We're pushing our bodies to do something in search of performance that may be extending the capabilities of what our body is capable of. And so you have these two things constantly pulling at each other. And for a while in baseball, we just sought performance so hard and we pushed performance so hard. And you see those numbers just skyrocketing in terms of fastball velocity and total spin on pitches and total movement deviations on pitches and pitch type creations. And everybody pushed so quickly into performance. Nobody was talking about the health side of it. And all of a sudden, in the last couple of years, now the conversation is starting to shift because we realize that there's an advantage to be had. If you can understand how to stay healthy and push that performance piece, you kind of have the best of both worlds. And so I get this question a lot. Do you teach pitching? And again, this question this week specifically, I laughed and I said, our mission is to build great pitchers. And that means we do utilize all of the other stuff, ball flight, biomechanics, again, workload management, great strength and conditioning programming. We have a lot of that. We just don't talk about it as much. And here's my 2 cents on this too. Social media today, man, there are so many people just pushing nonsense in ball flight and pushing nonsense in biomechanics and trying to claim their athletes that, oh, look, my guy did this and taking pictures next to that athlete and trying to just make it look like at every step of the way that facility, that person, that college, that they built that person. That's their guy. That's their thing. And look, we put stuff on social media too. I post about our players, all of that. But I've constantly said, and again, for years now, we have a track record of saying this, we don't put jerseys up in our facility because I don't want somebody to walk through the door and make a decision to train with us because they saw that jersey. I want somebody to walk through our door and make a decision to train with us because they believe in our philosophy, because they believe in what we're capable of doing. Now, I'm not trying to stand on a pedestal here and preach to the masses that everybody else is wrong and I'm right and all that stuff. But when somebody asks me, do you teach pitching? Our goal is to build great pitchers. Our goal is to understand what makes great pitchers. And so, yes, we do focus heavily on workload management. That's what you're going to hear a lot of me talking about, because I just don't think people understand it at all. And I think it's something that needs to be spread throughout the industry at a massive level. I think biomechanics is highly important to understand. I think ball flight is highly important to understand what is real and what is fake. I think there's so much noise in ball flight today. I haven't even talked about that. But at our facility at KP in Tampa, we have a very extensive assessment process, and we look in and try to build relationships with our athletes. You're not going to get, some intern on his second day, running your throwing program at a distance or in-house. You're going to get the team, and we're small, we're agile, we're lean, we work hard. That's, the relationships we want you to have with us is around what we're trying to accomplish and with the people that are trying to accomplish it. So you're going to get our team. And I think that's a deciding factor, should be a deciding factor in where you choose to train and who you choose to allow your development, or allow who to speak to your development. And so when people ask you the question, or, again, this week, a mom asking the question, do you train pitchers? Or do you teach pitching? Sorry, we train pitchers. Yes. We build pitchers. Yes. We teach pitching. Absolutely. And it's just not in the traditional sense where you're going to find me over a mound for 30 minutes while a kid's trying to throw a bullpen, telling you, hey, put your hands here and move your leg this way and do that. We're going to utilize great skill acquisition models. We're going to utilize great objective data. And again, go look these things up. If you're a parent and you're listening to this, go look up what skill acquisition is. Again, go look up what ball flight is. Look up TrackMan. Start to understand it. We're going to use biomechanics principles. Go look up what pitching biomechanics looks like. I'm not asking you to understand it at length. That's my job. I'm just asking you to understand that typically what you've maybe understood to be pitching and teaching pitching for a long time, where it's, again, a guy who maybe formerly played and is standing over a mound in a cage and for 30 minutes is going to bark orders at you and try to take credit for whatever you've done. That's not our MO. We're here to train you. It's not going to take 2 weeks. It's not going to take 4 weeks. It's not going to take 6 weeks for you to achieve your goals. Our goal is to be with you for the long term and stick with you for months, years, to be a support, a resource, and help you achieve your goals in your career. And again, I don't have a magic wand. I'm not a genie. At the end of the day, I'm really focused on coaching athletes. And that's a little bit different than what the model has expressed and maybe what people are used to today. So yes, do we teach pitching? I think we teach pitching in a way that others can't teach pitching because we're of our training model and the fact that I don't pose as a genie in this thing with a magic wand that basically I can say I can fix your kid after 2 throwing sessions for 30 minutes. It doesn't exist. So we're real, we're honest. We teach pitching. We build pitchers. That's our MO. And I think it's something that we don't talk about enough. Maybe people don't know about enough of what we do in our facility. But maybe that's another topic for another day. We'll dive into some of those other subjects and express some of our knowledge base in those other areas, as well as our strength, our workload, which we've talked a lot about, obviously, on this podcast. So with that being said, let's move on over to the wrap tonight. And as always, throw this plug in. If you have not already, head over to KinnectProBaseball.com. Check out the KP3 Community. This is where we house all of our courses. So I did also throw the official response to the MLB injury report on this page. It is free. So if you go in and you click that official response, you guys can get into that official response for free and check it out. We have the Future of Arm Care, our KP Bands course, understanding what KP Bands are, how they can help you understand your shoulder health, your arm health, and how we dynamically generate training programs for arm care on a daily basis with this protocol. We also have our Winning with Workload course, which covers front to back our workload thoughts and ideas. We're adding to these courses daily. Not daily. We're adding to these courses monthly. I'd like to be daily. But you guys can expect to continue to hop on the KP3 Community podcast, learn more about what we're doing. And as we release it, we do release that information on those new courses the days that it does come out. So be sure to stay up to date online on Twitter, on Instagram, via email. We're sending out updates, trying to remind everybody about the resources that we're putting in place. So for questions, as always, hit us up, support@KinnectProBaseball.com. We're here to help you guys out with whatever your needs are. Hopefully you guys got the KP Kinnect app today and are up and running. Again, one last reminder, if you need help with it, please email us again, support@KinnectProBaseball.com. As always, guys, appreciate it, and see you guys in the next one.